independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is a different phenomenon. A large caravan crossing with violence across two international borders, primarily adult male, not like the prior caravans last spring and the year before. This is a different phenomenon. Again, they use force against Mexican police. They use force to try to enter the country yesterday. This is a different group. Also the size, as you noted. We have not seen caravans come together at this scope and size to have 8,500 people in one Mexican state at the same time, intending to be a cohesive group to approach the border. That's new. That's different.
That right there is Kevin McLennan, Commissioner of U.S. Customs Border Patrol, talking about this caravan and why it's different. And so immigration, which is, it's not getting dealt with because, as we talked about, and we've been talking about it, neither side thinks anything's really broken, but everybody else does, right? Everybody else finds there to be a problem with what's going on because our laws are ignored not only by people who break them, but by the people who are supposed to enforce them. That's not a win for anybody. It's not. I think most Americans are welcoming. I, for one, am. I think legal immigration should be easier for people to come here. I think we should have an opportunity for people not only to come here legally to immigrate into this country and migrate here, but I also think it'd be easier for us to have opportunities for these countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and that other neighboring country, Canada, for them to have opportunities to come here and work as, not even residents, just literally seasonal workers at time, and to be able to go back to their country of origin. I think we should make it absolutely easier. 110%. But neither side thinks anything's broken. And I think most people just want to feel like they're trying, just do something. Feel like you, just make us feel like you're trying to actually come up with some sort of semi-half-ass trade-off that points to a solution that isn't perfect, but it's better than what we have now. Because what we have now is nothing really. We have again, people who break the law coming to our country illegally, and then people who are supposed to be upholding those laws who turn a blind eye. And I'm not talking about the Border Patrol agents. I'm talking about the politicians.
In terms of the structure, I mean, the incoming Congress is really going to have to grapple with the fact that the legal framework that we maintain is inviting and incentivizing this kind of challenge, this kind of behavior. Alongside these 8,500 people we have in Baja California, over the last 5.5 weeks since this group formed, we've seen over 60,000 people either cross our border illegally, 85% of them, or arrive at our ports of entry and claim asylum lawfully.
Yeah. Now, those are real numbers, and it's not just the border. It's just because they're people of color, brown people, and they scare all the white people. It's not that. It's not. It's not that. Our ports are broken. Our visa program is absolutely in shambles. It is a debacle. That doesn't get talked about as much because there's no political part of saying, people overstayed their visas. Like, that doesn't sound like they had a visa to get here and they just decided, I don't want to go home. There's no face that. There's no political movement in that. Same thing with the ports, because a lot of it comes through the ports. People that come here from parts of Asia, and there's no political power behind them. There's no la raza for people who are escaping wherever they're escaping. Southeast Asia, wherever. And so there is no political power behind them because they're not big enough to have the Democrats or the Republicans really care. It's the other side of the border, the south side, where they're coming. That's the problem that we see, because politically it helps both sides. We got to figure this out. We absolutely have to figure this out. And then you get what we saw the other day, which is women and children that are in this caravan, not to the extent that the Democrats and the media, the establishment media wanted to point out, because it was, again, originally like 6 weeks ago when this was, Trump's just making this an issue for the election, and it's just basically 400, moms and a bunch of kids in diapers, and that's all it is. Well, it's not all it is. It's not. And then you've got some of them who, through no fault of their own, as far as what's going on the other side of the border, they're being thrust into stuff because people are trying to use them as a diversion.
We did see women and children being pushed to the front or included in the front of an assaultive group.
Not just because they wanted them to get through first? Women and children first?
No, that's not my understanding of what he saw. He saw people throwing rocks right next to women and children. They did that actually behind members of the media as well. I've seen video of a scene where rock throwers are hiding behind camera people taking photographs of them while they're throwing the rocks. So it was a really dynamic, challenging situation that our agents tried to resolve as safely as possible, and were really successful overall.
Now, there he is speaking, right? Kevin McKENZIE, or whatever his name is. I probably screwed it up, but it is what it is. And you're Cuomo, right? That's Cuomo. Cuomo going, not because they wanted them to go first. Do you see how he bends over backwards? Well, maybe they're just being nice. They wanted him to go first. You go through. You go first. Hey, there's a monster in the room. Nah, you go first. Women and children first. You tell us how that goes. No, that's not what it was. That's not what happened. But I love how they bend over backwards. And there's an article today that it's by a woman named Yalda T. Uls. She's a former executive at Sony and MGM, and she's an adjunct professor at UCLA, talking about the fact, and we talked a bit about it yesterday, if you saw the picture of the woman with her kid in her hand, and, she's got a diaper on, and then she's got her other kid in her other hand, and she's kind of running, and the first thing I thought of is, she's wearing a Frozen shirt, and it's all the cruel irony of a migrant mom in a Frozen t-shirt. She goes to talk about, the message of that film is freedom, empowerment, and family. Okay. That's great. I saw the movie and let it go. Let it go. But you know what? It wasn't about freedom, empowerment, family, and oh, by the way, break the law. Right? And a lot of these people, it's always about the ends justify the means. It's the ends justifying the means. It's the ends justifying the means. So it's because of that we should feel like, that's the heart tugging of the string. There's your heart, and you got the string on it, and we're going to tug on it. It's a horrible situation. Nobody denies that. But in saying that, don't try to draw this as some sort of Disney movie, right? And how this has got into the zeitgeist of America, and how this is, if you look at this situation, and all she wants is freedom, and I know a lot of people that want stuff like, I want $1 million. Does it mean I should be able to take it? Well, Chad, now you're being ridiculous. Why? This is the frustration people have with all of this stuff. And I look right at the politicians, both here and abroad, who have failed these people and who've failed us. I don't judge any of these people coming over here because I understand why they're doing it. I think we all get that. My biggest issue is you're breaking the law, and as your law breaking starts to happen, our government and leaders allow you to do it because they're useless and because politically it benefits them. There's my frustration. I think we should make it easier. I absolutely should. We should talk about how we make this thing easier. We should put out stuff that's real, that's common sense, that gets something done. It's not going to be perfect. But when you have leaders that refuse to take any of this stuff on in a real way, you get what you get the other day. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Paul Manafort is in trouble. I'll be honest with you. I don't care. I don't. He met with Julian Assange. Don't care. Right? Okay, so he met with Julian Assange 3 times. 2013, 15, and 16. He lied to Mueller. Don't care. I don't care. I don't think anybody really cares. The Russia thing, they're over it. Just give us the report, whatever you guys can give us, so we can move on with our lives. We're over it. You guys go fight you guys go to Congress and you guys fight it out over there. The House can take up all the investigation it wants. Doesn't really matter because if you try to impeach, it's going to go down to the Senate and the Senate's going to go, and we're going to move on with lives. Don't waste our time. And that's what this is going to be about. It's such a myopic view. Nobody cares. Nobody really does, except for the people sitting around watching Fox and MSNBC and CNN all day. Those people care. It's like the people that stew in this kind of stuff. But the reality is, Manafort, dude, your biggest issue isn't that you lied to the FBI when you're already in trouble and you went up against your plea deal and it's now they're going to get rid of some of it. You're never getting out of jail anyways in a timely fashion because you embezzled money. You laundered money. You did all kinds of things. You laundered money from point A to point B. You didn't tell the government. Those are your issues. What do I care about that? I don't care about some scumbag who used his power and persuasion to get money out of the Ukrainians and the Russians and anybody else and give him a dime. I don't give a rat's ass. And I don't care he's going to jail. Just give us a report and let's move on with our lives. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
It's grown by almost 20%. And last year was also a double-digit growth. So we continue to see this acceleration of growth in the retail space during this kind of concentrated selling period between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday, of course, being the heavyweight.
Yeah, big time. 10% last year, 20% this year. We're spending money. The economy is still doing well. You know, we've had a hiccup in the market. Here's the thing. When I watch all these guys, everybody loves to be the person to say, I predicted the collapse. It's not hard. Eventually, we're going to have a pullback, and it will be major. Could be tomorrow, could be a year from now, could be 10 years from now. Does that make me a soothsayer? It's like saying eventually California's going to have a massive earthquake, Florida's going to have hurricanes, and the middle of the country is going to get tornadoes. That doesn't make me some sort of magical predictor. That's just the reality of things. But we're still spending money. Now, what did we spend money on, you ask yourself?
The hottest toys and electronics on Cyber Monday included things like fingerlings, LOL Surprise, little live pets, of course, laptops from both Dell and Apple. LG TVs did exceptionally well, and Nintendo Switch was another top-selling item.
I can't stop laughing, Phil. The minute I hear LG TVs. LGBTQ TVs? Oh, that's gay. Fingerlings. Sounds again naughty. All right, Chad, you've ruined this for everybody. My Christmas will never be the same. Oh, Mrs. Claus. We got you. It's fingerlings. Or it sounds like something you get at like some restaurant. I'll take a 4-pack of fingerlings. Would you like those breaded? Yeah, sure. That'd be great. Oh, a lot of time. You know what? I'm always amazed that like we still buy toys for kids because I see kids every day and they like the box and they like the toy for like 10 seconds and they all go straight back to the YouTube. And they go back to the YouTube. This is what I think is funny. Kids go back to the YouTube to watch people play with the toy that they just got on YouTube. That's insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you each and every day. We deliver it to you much like Santa Claus delivers you presents. We call this our urban word of the day.
It's time for the urban word of the day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban word of the day.
This is truly an urban word that is out there that is really happening now. And you're going to hear a lot more of it in the coming weeks and months. Dead naming. Dead naming. What dead naming is essentially is when you use... So let's say somebody's gone from a male to a female. They no longer use that, and you still call them by that. So you continue to call Bruce Jenner instead of Caitlyn Jenner. You're using his dead name. or her dead name. I'm confused. But dead naming, and this is going to be everywhere, right? The birth name of a person who's changed their name, especially a transgender person. What about Jerry Dorsey? Can we just call him that, or is that his dead name? Oh, he still wants to be called Engelbert Humperdinck? All right, I get it. That's your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the urban word of the day. We damn stretched your cranium.
If Black Friday starts the holiday shopping season, Giving Tuesday is meant to start the charitable giving season.
Individuals can donate or they can volunteer. They can just show a neighbor an act of kindness.
Why do we need a day for that?
I think we need 365 days a year for that. But like a wedding anniversary or a birthday, it's a day to celebrate.
Asha Curran at the 92nd Street Y here in New York, which conceived of Giving Tuesday, said the day is meant to pivot from consuming to contributing. $300 million was raised online last year during Giving Tuesday.
It's a nice thing. It is a nice thing that we go and do something like this. And so today's Giving Tuesday, and I'm sure if you've been online, you can see all the hashtags and everybody's giving, and it's and this is one of those things where it's okay to give today and feel good about it, because giving in many ways for a lot of people is kind of selfish, because it's still kind of a me thing. People turned it into a me thing. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If you want a pat on the back because you gave $1,000 to a charity, I'll give you a pat on the back. Congratulations. If it makes you feel good, no problem with that. And we like to give. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm here to tell you guys this. Time is good. Toys are good, like, for this time of year. But the reality is the food places, things like that, they want your cash. They can get things better deals. They already get opportunities to do that. What they don't want you to do is to clean out your cupboard with crap that you'll never eat and give it to people because they're homeless and you think that they're going to eat it. Oh, beggars can't be choosers. No. That's the reality. It is. It's easier to give money. To me, just good thing. And if you feel good about it, good. That's what you're supposed to do. It's Giving Tuesday, for God's sakes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Speaking of Twitter, I don't know what they're doing at times. I don't think they do as well. We'll touch on that. Plus, we landed on Mars. What's next? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
As President Trump tweeted frustration over GM's decision to close several manufacturing plants and threatened to pull federal subsidies from the company, GM in a statement says the decision to close the plants was made to, quote, position the company for long-term success. It also affirmed its support of American jobs, saying that many of the workers impacted by the closures will be able to shift to other GM plants as it focuses more on trucks, crossovers, and SUVs.
Yeah, so Trump's come out. He's pissed. He's angry. The workers are obviously upset.
I find it crazy because, I just started working here, not too long ago. I'm thinking about joining the military.
Everybody's afraid, don't know what's going on. I think we'll rebound. We'll find something.
I'm sure they will. And yesterday, people gave me a bunch of crap, and we bailed them out. Do we want to bail them out again? I don't think so, right? But Trump promised. Here's what Trump can't promise. He can do a lot to try to bring jobs back and to keep jobs. But if you produce a crappy product, he can't force people to buy the crappy product. I don't care how good the economy is, right? If you make the worst taco in the world and all it does is give you firebud, right? And it makes everybody sick and it's vile tasting, no matter how good the economy is, eventually you're going to go out of business, right? But you may make a great burrito. So focus on the burrito and stop making the taco. That's the issue. This wasn't two things here. First, their entire process for a lot of people who don't understand, it's very antiquated. right? They were too top-heavy, administration, mid-level management, a lot of money going away. They're offering people payouts. Most of us who get canned, right? Not all of us, but a good portion of people out there who lose their jobs, they're laid off, whatever it is, rarely do they get anything for it, right? They may get, if they're lucky, a couple weeks, maybe a month. Some people in some companies or bigger corporations, they may give you more depending on how much service you have, right? They offered these people, a lot of people before this, they offered them big buyouts if you leave. And I talked to 2 or 3 people last night who formerly worked at GM long ago, and they took buyouts. One was kind of a forced buyout. The other 2, they took actual buyouts. One was at a GM, one was at Ford, where they voluntarily said, you know what, I'll take that. And they went and did something else, put some money away, and they said it was kind of like hitting a mini lottery. They got paid well enough. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reaction of what's going to happen now, if you're laid off in some of these places, is going to be interesting. Because if they offer you an opportunity to move, right? So you're worried about, and this goes back to, somebody tweeted at me last night, what a horrible person I am, because some of these people, they don't want to move, and they shouldn't have to move. Well, why don't you go buy their car? Well, I don't want their car. Well, then there you go. Right? And I don't blame these people for the car, right? Like, they didn't design it. But if you're offered an opportunity to move, right? Well, my family here, my kids here, but life is one of those things where it's funny. It changes. And what may seem like a horrible situation now could turn out to be amazing. But we also live in a time in some of these bigger cities, Detroit's making a miniature comeback. Some of these other places where it's not going to be horrible, but there are some Rust Belt areas that are probably going to suffer from this.
The future unknown for thousands of GM employees.
Is it another way they can do it besides closing all these plants?
It's going to hurt everybody working.
But economist David Sowerby is a little more optimistic.
We will have a bruise, but we won't break a leg.
He says unemployment in Michigan is below 4%, and the state's tax climate is greatly improved from a decade ago.
We're in a much better position to deal with this type of adversity than any time in the last 30 years.
He says it should be easier for laid-off GM employees to find jobs in this economy.
Yeah, and I think that's true. But here's another thing you have to ask yourself, and nobody wants to do this, but the mid-level management people, most of them, they rode the gravy train. They'll take their money. They've probably got stock. They're sitting okay. They're probably making 6 figures plus. They're going to go out and they'll be fine. So I'm not really worried about them. But there are a lot of people out there that are going to have issues because they've done this for a while. They don't have a lot of other skills. And how are they going to adjust? That's going to be a huge question going forward. It is. And if your town doesn't have manufacturing and doesn't have a plant like this and they aren't hiring anywhere near you, the choice is, do you go somewhere else? And that was my thing. I don't feel sorry for you. If you sit on your ass and you go, but you got kids. You know what? I've traveled all over the world. I've traveled all over the globe. I've lived all over the world. Sometimes in life, you know what? I had a nice house, living great, enjoying my life in England. And then I was told, oh, you're playing for a team in Scotland. Didn't have a choice. Pack it up. Head off. That's the way life is sometimes. You can sulk or you can get off your ass and do something about it. And if you sit there and pray to the magical genie, right? You rub the bottle, right? Of your Pabst, right? And the Pabst genie comes out and you say, hey, bring back the factory. And the Pabst genie's like, hey, no, that's stupid. Nothing you can do. So your choice is to make a move. Sounds harsh, but that's the reality of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. God, I got totally just hammered yesterday by people. And then the other thing is they would say, they would say, well, we gave them a bailout. Yeah. And GM's not in trouble. They're not in trouble. They're being smart. They're forward thinking. But people are so mad. How dare you tell somebody to go down? Maybe people don't want to leave. Well, then, sit there and struggle. I know what else to tell you. I don't. I got nothing for you at that point in time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shares, your Twitter. You can always tweet at us. Love hearing about that. This is Steve Cortez. He was on with, I don't know. I think it was Anderson Cooper. And he's talking about what's going on with immigration. And, you know, the battle of the tear gas and all of that stuff, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But this right here is this is the frustration I think a lot of us people have, whether we're citizens or residents, we were born and raised here, we've naturalized ourselves, whatever it is why these people are coming here. Because for 6-8 weeks, we were told this is a nothing burger, as Hillary would put it. There's nothing here. This is all manufactured. It's just for Trump. It's a ploy for blah, 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 blah. And that and the women and children are really the only ones coming here. And that's not it. And they're coming here because they're politically persecuted. And that's not really the truth.
This isn't really about asylum. Let's be honest about this. The distance from Honduras, for example, to San Diego is almost 3,000 miles. That's like crossing the entire United States. They are crossing the gigantic country of Mexico, which offered them asylum, which in fact offered asylum plus jobs, and they said no. So what does that tell us? This isn't because they're fleeing for their lives and they just want safety, or they wouldn't go all the way across Mexico. It tells us that they're economic migrants who want to come to the United States. Now,
okay. Yeah. And that's it. You saw people holding up signs about jobs and all of these kind of things. And I get it. And people asked me yesterday, because I don't know if I didn't explain myself as well as I should. When I talk about this, is there are ways that we can do this. We stopped putting a man on the moon because now we can put a man on Mars, right? We are doing things that are so incredible in this country. And we can't get people from two parties that are essentially identical in a lot of ways to come up with a solution. And instead they use us and them, one as a political net and the other one as a political ball to hit over. That is crap. But they're not coming here for asylum. Are there a few people? Let's say you got 8,000, right? I don't know how many are there. I heard 4, I heard 10. We'll say 7,000, right? That'd make everybody feel good. There's 7,000 people. Let's say, realistically, 5 to 10% on a high end are looking for political asylum for a real reason. The rest of them, 6,500, depending on they're here for economic reasons. That's what they're here for. And that's not a reason for asylum. That's not. It's not. We can have empathy. We can understand. But it's not a reason for asylum. And I think that's what needs to honestly be talked about, which I don't hear it talked about because all I hear about is I read an article a while ago. I got halfway through it. I'm like, I can't even do this anymore. The long-term health ramifications of being tear gassed. And it was like they were hit with sarin. And I was just like, all right, I can't do this anymore. Because you're pitching your whatever it is that you need to pitch, and it's not real. It's not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. All right, producer Phil, you are a person that likes to, I saw you had your little party this week. How many people did you cook for?
28.
Now, there is a mother-in-law who, get ready for this, guys. All right, so she's having a big Christmas dinner. So she sends out this thing, and she invited all these people, but she didn't want anybody to bring anything. But she did say everyone's got to pay $21. How do you feel about that? That's interesting. Would you do that, Phil? Would you if you invited people over, like you could have a big party? Would you ever think about charging people?
No.
No. Now, I don't know what her financial situation is. She says she doesn't want to do it all from scratch. She wants to get a lot of it pre-done. So it's more money. I get that. Some people in their family are complaining. I had my ex, good woman, her family, they would invite us over for a barbecue, her brother and sister-in-law. And then when we got there, we had to give them like $10 or $15 each for the barbecue. And I'm like, well, I was sitting around doing nothing. You invited me over. I would never do that. But I also don't know the family situation. Because if you think about it, and this is just to me, if you have 30 people, like, what do you think it costs for all that food the other? Did you do most of it, Phil, or did people bring stuff?
People brought a lot of stuff. I bought the turkey and a few of the sides and some refreshments.
Yeah, see, so that wasn't bad. But if you had to do the whole thing, you said just don't bring anything, you just show up. What do you think that would have cost you?
Like $300 and some.
Yeah, I could see why people would do it. I could. It's weird. You know, there's a specific number. I would have just put a hat out if you needed to and say, hey, everybody, throw a few bucks in here, you know, or maybe what you should have done is say, hey, look, you have one person you tell that, look, we need to get some money for this because, you know, I can't afford these kind of things. Want to have everybody over and say, all right, you know, let me handle it. And then that way, when you invite everybody goes around, and, you know, somebody goes around as designated, hey, look, mom's inviting everybody over. It's going to be kind of expensive. I'm throwing a few bucks in. Want everybody to throw a couple bucks. And that would have probably been better. This makes her seem like she's some chintzy person, and I don't know if I think it's coming off wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. But, yeah, I mean, I always think it's nice, right? You know, that you toss in for something like that, because people do good things. But it is weird if somebody invites you to a barbecue. I think that's the weird thing, right? Hey, come to my barbecue and bring $20. What? No. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter. Medicare, open enrollment. It is here. How would you like to have a dedicated agent help you get through this, right? AMAC is working with Senior Resource Network. They've got that set up. How would you like somebody, right, who is going to fight tooth and nail for you in the beliefs that you have? That's what AMAC will do. How would you like to work with an organization that's going to give you a year membership for free to say, try us out? And, oh, by the way, not only are we going to politically advocate for you, we're also going to give you benefits that are too numerous to mention, but 40% off movie tickets, retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, and so much more. It is that simple. Go to amac.us/chat. No credit card required. They didn't want your credit card. It's simple. It's easy. It is the alternative to what ARP is giving everybody out there. This is what AMAC's doing. Go to amac.us/chat. You're going to get a year membership. They don't even want your credit card. It's that simple. amac.us/chat. AMAC is better for you, better for America. At Chad Benson Show. There's your Twitter. You can text the program. It's a text line. You call in. We're going to call you in. We're going to call you out on it. 323-538-2423. And if you do want to reach out to us on the phone, Phil, what's our number?
844-344-2423.
That's what Phil said, and I'm going to go with it. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Touchdown confirmed.
Oh, my God, I love her. We're just isolate her. She was so excited. Listen to her. She's super excited. She's like, oh. She did the O face. Oh, so they touched down on Mars, right? Trump got to speak about a little bit of Mars. And when you speak about space, kids, well, come on now. If you're going to speak about space, it's just Trump. There's only one thing that's going to go along with space. Space Force.
And in my direction, the Pentagon is now working to create the sixth branch of the American Armed Forces. It's called the Space Force. And today, we just landed on Mars.
What? Yeah, we did. So, and that is where Space Force is going to be its first headquarters. It's going to be on Mars. Space Force. So they're looking for recruits. We want you in the Space Force. In the Space Force, you can fly the 7 seas. That'd be awesome. I hear a parody, Phil.
I got it.
We want you as a new recruit. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, the reality is they're not there for Space Force. They're there for other things.
That is going to measure the amount of heat coming out of the core. All of this is to basically paint a picture of the interior of Mars and try and figure out how Mars was formed, how Earth was formed. And it's also going to be helpful, they tell us, in looking for habitable planets outside of our solar system as well. All of the science is building up to that as well.
Here's my thing, all right? So let's just say, for the sake of argument, right, that we're going to go look for habitable planets. But we're kind of like that guy that the way that a lot of people think is we're that guy that tried to go talk to those natives and they killed him, right? And now we're at the point where it's like, oh wow, we're going to go to another. We're going to bring our germs to another place. We're going to try to find some other place we can inhabit and destroy. Have we not learned anything? We're going to go cause global warming there too. Oh man, what is wrong with us? 323-538-2423. Let's see here. At Chad Benson Show, the Ford plant closed in Fremont, California. Closed. People found other jobs. Then it reopened by Tesla, and now there are tons of jobs. It can work for the same at the GM plants as well. You're correct. The Chevy Cruze was crap. Tweets one person, I don't trust any GM products, only Toyota. That was Disc Man on that one. Yeah. Look, maybe you like the products, maybe you don't. GM makes some good stuff. All of them have their flaws in some of their cars and stuff. I'll tell you, I really do. But the reality is if you make a good product, people will buy it, and that's part of the problem here. It's not just because GM's this big bad evil thing. It's not that. It's the products they made weren't very good, and so they're going to. And then they had too much top heaviness as far as salary went, so they're going to cut it and not be so antiquated. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is a different phenomenon. A large caravan crossing with violence across two international borders, primarily adult male, not like the prior caravans last spring and the year before. This is a different phenomenon. Again, they used force against Mexican police. They used force to try to enter the country yesterday. This is a different group. Also the size, as you noted. We have not seen caravans come together at this scope and size to have 8,500 people in one Mexican state at the same time, intending to be a cohesive group to approach the border. That's new. That's different, and that's a challenge.
Phenomenon. 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 That's right there. Kevin McCallion, who is the commissioner for U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. And we were told by the Democrats, and we were told by everybody, look, it's not an invasion. It's none of these things. It's a horrible thing to say. These people, it's just women. It's just women and some kids and a few elderly men. And scattered amongst those thousands are one or two working age males, but that's it. And that's not been it. That's not been it at all. It has been mostly males. Even Lindsey Graham. Oh, Chad, are you going to make fun of me? Of course I am, Lindsey. Oh, it's not very nice.
I talked to the president last night. Everything he was concerned about with the caravan is coming true. And if you don't see this as a major problem for Mexico and the United States, you just hate Trump way too much.
Yeah. You do, but we can all admit, right? Like this isn't good. It's not a good look. But immigration's not going to get fixed because nobody wants to fix it. It's not broken. Right? It's not. You're not really breaking the law if you don't really enforce the law. Right? It's just, and that's been the problem. Is for years, for decades, since 86, illegal immigration has happened. Reagan said, well, and then he gave everybody opportunity to stay, and they did it. It was a one-off. That's it. We're going to fix this thing. Never going to happen again. And lo and behold, some 32 plus years later, here we are in a similar situation as far as even worse. So we have more and more people here coming from all over the globe, from the ports to the visas and of course south of the border. And neither of them want to fix it because in their eyes of their donors and of their bases, the problem's really not there to be fixed. It's not broken as far as they're concerned. It works just fine. The system works just fine. And that's a bunch of crap. It is. It is a bunch of crap. The system may work fine if we actually did the thing we were supposed to do and follow the laws of the system, follow the rules of it. But we never do that. We can't even tell if the system's broke because we don't actually put the system into play in any of this, and it is not a good situation. And think about this. If these people get through and somehow magically they end up on the other side of the border and then they're in the country, what are people in Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala who were worried about, well, this Trump guy seems to be, he's serious, right? Like the other guys really weren't serious. They're like, oh, we're going to stop this. And then the next thing you know, they're like, they didn't really do anything. But this guy seems pretty serious. So, but we got in. So what's to stop 20, 30, 40, 50,000? That's a fair question to ask.
In terms of the structure, I mean, the incoming Congress is really going to have to grapple with the fact that the legal framework that we maintain is inviting and incentivizing this kind of challenge, this kind of behavior. Alongside these 8,500 people we have in Baja California, over the last 5.5 weeks since this group formed, we've seen over 60,000 people either cross our border illegally, 85% of them, or arrive at our ports of entry and claim asylum lawfully.
Yeah, that's a lot. That is a ton of people. Now, is it smaller than it's been? Probably, because I think some people are taking Trump seriously, and I think they're even taking him more seriously now. And we could talk about Trump's attitude. We could talk about his tweeting. We talk about all of the other stuff, which I really don't care too much about. I'm bored with it. To me, it's childish. But one thing he has been steadfast on since the time he came down that escalator in Trump Towers, when he said, I'm going to do it, run for president. And he did. And then he became president, was we're going to fix the border problem. We're going to build a wall. We're going to fix the problem. This is what we're going to do. We can't have illegal immigration anymore. We're going to fix the problem. Fix it. Now, asylum is interesting because you got to apply for asylum. And, they're going to ask you all kinds of questions. And it's a very interesting situation when you think about asylum, because they're going to ask you, what are you running from? What it is you want in this country. Now, the Chad Benson Show reporters, which there are many, right? I don't even know how many. We got a hold of actually some of the Q&A that goes on in these things, and it's interesting.
And what exactly are your demands?
We need more lemon pledge.
You need more lemon pledge?
Yes.
We're not responsible for that. You should just bring it from your own home.
No.
Let the hate mail begin. I'm not saying there's not people that are in desperate need to get out of those countries, right? And if you listen to the show, you know that I would do the same thing in that situation. Who wouldn't? But how do we tell fact from fiction? That's it. How do we tell fact from fiction? Because the media and the left side of the aisle, and I saw somebody on MSNBC, by the way, a reporter who was down there and who said, look, it's a bunch of guys, by and large. They're using these women as shields. They're throwing rocks. They're hiding behind reporters and all kinds of things like this. This isn't what, a lot of people thought this was and how it was spun.
We did see women and children being pushed to the front or included in the front of an assaultive group.
Not just because they wanted them to get through first? Women and children first?
No, that's not my understanding of what he saw. He saw people throwing rocks right next to women and children. They did that actually behind members of the media as well. I've seen video of a scene where rock throwers are hiding behind camera people taking photographs of them while they're throwing the rocks. So it was a really dynamic, challenging situation that our agents tried to resolve as safely as possible, and were really successful overall.
Chris Cuomo's an idiot. Not because they want them to go first? Isn't that it? Are you sure that's it? Not because they want them to go first. Like, really, that is... Oh, my God. It's just, these people are on TV, and they get paid millions of dollars, and they're just awful. That is just pandering of the highest level. Are you sure they just, because maybe they want them to go first. Maybe they're just being stand-up guys, and they're pushing these kids at 100 miles an hour, and with these women as tear gas comes in, because they want them to go first, because they're like, look, this chivalry is not dead. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We'll touch quickly on this because, quite frankly, the reality is it bores me and it bores most of you.
This is a shocking new development, not so much that the cooperation was falling apart. We reported earlier this month that talks between Manafort and Mueller were breaking down, that Mueller's team was frustrated by the lack of cooperation. What's significant here and what Mueller's team is saying in this filing is that he lied to the FBI, that he lied to the special counsel on a number of subjects.
Oh, my God, he lied? You mean the guy going to jail for tax evasion? For snuggling up with some despots around the world and taking large chunks of cash and laundering money and doing things like he lied? And now he's not a good witness? Oh, are you kidding me? That's no way. That is no way. How can that be?
It's unclear the significance that Manafort has to Mueller's probe. We know from our sources and our reporting that Manafort has been asked about a number of topics, including Trump associate Roger Stone. But the bottom line is we still don't know what those lies are. But Mueller's team says that they will detail all of those lies in an upcoming filing.
Oh, he's not being nice. Maybe he's holding out for a pardon. Maybe he's holding out for a pardon. Will you pardon me, President Trump? I'm Paul Manafort. He doesn't talk like that. I like to give him an accent. But do you really care? Look, the Mueller report's going to be damning politically. It's going to look ugly. I don't think there's going to be any criminality out of it. There may be, and if there is, it's going to be stuff like you lied under oath, all right, or your kids are in trouble and they lied, or you tried to protect your kids and you lied, but and then what we're going to get is the next year and a half, 2 years is just grandstanding by both sides and a lot of do-nothings. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I've got a hilarious picture on my Facebook. You can check it out. And it is the world's largest cow. I didn't think it was real at first. And I'm like, Phil, you got to look at this picture. I posted it. That cow is so big. And I love to go to the fairs. Like, it's one of my favorite things is to go to the fair. I love to go because I always have like White Mountains, the name of this big steer and this giant horse. And you're like, oh my God, it's huge. This thing is freakish. It looks like Manute Bull and a bunch of midgets. It is amazing to look at. And they said it's so big they can't even if they wanted to sell it and eat it kind of thing, they can't do it because it won't fit in the machine. Won't fit in the machine. Speaking of food that you'd like to eat, ButcherBox. ButcherBox could probably do it. ButcherBox could, but they're not going to have a chance to do that. But doesn't mean ButcherBox doesn't have the best of the best of the best. Best beef, best chicken, best pork. Why is that? Grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Organic free-range chicken, heritage pork. Get ready for this. Source their pork from pigs raised to keep all their fat and flavor just the way it's supposed to be. Ding dong. What's that? Something's at the door. Ooh, you're all giddy. You go to the door. You open it up. You look down. Oh, it's a box. It's a ButcherBox. You take it. You open it. And you realize for the next month, for less than $6 a meal, you're going to be eating like a king and queen, or whatever gender or non-gender specific person you choose to be and or royalty. Get ready for this. Absolutely the best. Competitive price, to say the least. These cuts are incredible. You're not going to find them anywhere in stores. High-quality meat like this is not just laying around in the store. You're going and you're looking through and there's 25 pieces of meat and you're picking up and it's got the... No. What you're going to get is incredible. Free shipping. What are you waiting for? Get it now. Join ButcherBox today. So what I want you to do, Chad Benson Show listeners, you ready for this? $20 off right now, plus free bacon for the life of your subscription. How do you get that, you ask? I'm glad you did. ButcherBox.com/Chad. That's it. ButcherBox.com/Chad. But hurry. Offer ends soon. Makes a great Christmas gift. Butcherbox.com/Chad. Butcherbox.com/Chad. Save yourself $20 and get free bacon for the life of your subscription. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
We think that this is the most extreme version, and it's not based on facts. It's not data-driven. We'd like to see something that is more data-driven, and it's based on modeling, which is extremely hard to do when you're talking about the climate.
You know what? And this is what I don't think people understand. So, first of all, you always want to show, especially if you have skin in the game, and you want your agency to make sure they continue to receive funding. So you put something like this together, you're going to show the most devastating thing you can show because you want to be able to bring money into your thing. You're selling your report when it comes to climate change. And when I talked to somebody the other day, they didn't understand what modeling was. And that's a tough thing to, if you don't know what it is and you're sitting here saying, well, I believe that it's already like it's said and done and it's written in stone. It's not the way it works. It's not. What they're saying is up until this point, we have warmed. Humans probably play, to me, I think we play a part. How big of a part? That's debatable. But going forward, what's going to happen? And that's the thing. From here on out, the modeling is what it's all about. We are trying to predict what all of these things are going to happen. But again, it's nature, it's climate. There's a lot of different, factors and variables that go into this. Because how many times have we heard through other modeling, it's going to be this, and then lo and behold, 10 years later, it's the exact opposite or nothing happens. And that's the frustration that a lot of people out there have. And that's the thing. I just don't think people understand what the whole modeling thing's about. You're trying to predict what's going to happen. And sometimes, right, you get it right? Sometimes you do. And sometimes you fall flat on your face. And we could go and do all of these things, and it could still go against us. Or we could do none of these things, and nothing could happen. Because a big portion of this is still nature. And as we all know, Producer Phil, what will nature do to you?
Nature will mess you up.
Will mess you up. That's simple. That's simple. So just because they put it in a piece of paper doesn't mean it's going to actually come true. Because there's so many variables. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of nature and clean living and clean energy, we're going to talk to a guy in a minute who used to hang out with old Elon Musk. We'll talk to him. He's got a new book out called Insane Mode. It's very interesting. Hey, tossing, turning at night. You having trouble sleeping. You got 10 pillows. You got one pillow. You're throwing stuff up. Throw your hands up. What are you going to do? You're going to get My Pillow. No more sleepless nights. You're going to put those things behind you, just like I did. You're going to sleep better than you've ever slept before. 100% machine washable and dryable cotton. Unlike other pillows, which are crap. 10-year warranty. Incredible. Made right here in the US of A of America. No more sore necks, right? You're just one click away from an incredible night's sleep. Buy one My Pillow, get the second one free. It's the BOGO, kids. Call 800-983-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. When you do, use promo code Benson. You're going to get a better night's sleep. It's the world's most comfortable pillow. You're going to absolutely love it. I sleep like a baby, which I normally couldn't say, but thanks to My Pillow, I sleep better than I've ever slept before. 800-983-4975, MyPillow.com. Use that promo code, kids. Benson. Buy one, get one free. Hamish McKenzie. Let's talk a little Elon Musk. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I love Elon Musk. I think he's wacky. I think he's wild. I think he's interesting. And those kind of people seem to get things done in this world. And joining us now is somebody who, well, quite frankly, has got a book about that Elon Musk character called Insane Mode, how Elon Musk's Tesla sparked an electric revolution to end the age of oil. Hamish McKenzie joins us now. And first and foremost, you're a journalist. You worked for Tesla for a while. Is that correct?
That's right. I spent just over a year there as a writer on their communications team.
That had to be interesting. Did you get to spend any time with Elon?
Yeah, he personally recruited me and hired me into the company, and then had a few meetings, a few phone calls, that sort of stuff. We weren't the closest of buddies, but we did work together.
It's an interesting character, and I look at characters like him. I love what he's doing. In saying that, he's got a roadblock, and that roadblock is big oil. And let's talk about that for a second, because big oil is no industry, as you know, Hamish, wants to give up any market share whatsoever in the world. We had GM yesterday having to close some plants, but a lot of that is because they're technologically just behind the eight ball. But the reality is he's got some roadblocks in his way when it comes to oil. And electric cars are interesting, and I want to see them grow and grow and grow. But let's talk about some of those roadblocks, like big oil.
Yeah, that's right. They're doing what corporations do, which is trying to serve their shareholders and preserve their profits for as long as they can, even if they do see the writing on the wall. And so you get people like the Koch brothers, who are two of the richest people who have ever been invented, who are sitting atop this fossil fuels empire, and they're funding disinformation campaigns about electric cars, trying to suggest that actually, because they're powered by electricity that's generated from coal, they can be more harmful to the environment than gasoline cars, which is not true, but it's enough to sort of generate headlines and create doubt and maybe make a few people have a second thought about going electric. And that's a problem, because we need to get the gasoline cars off the road and get the electric cars on the road.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Look, I tell everybody, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's garbage and it burns cleaner, and by the way, it drives farther. That's, to me, the most important. I'm a cheap guy, Hamish, is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm cheap, and if you can give me a car that gets me to and fro in a more in a better way than what I have now, I don't care what it is, I will do it. And you talked about the Koch brothers, but the reality is the battle that goes on here with anybody who's innovative. Elon Musk is doing it in a day and age where you go back and you look at somebody like Tucker, who had to battle the big automotive people. Elon's doing the same thing, but he's far more eccentric, and that to me is the exciting part of what he's all about.
He is very eccentric. He's a colorful character. He's the sort of guy who will go on a podcast that's on camera and smoke a joint and sort of not really think about the consequences
Joe Rogan.
of that. Joe Rogan, exactly. But yeah, and some of these are character flaws, if we're being honest. But that's kind of what makes him interesting, and I think why he's so compelling to people.
Yeah, yesterday, and this is what he had to say. I want you to take a listen to what he was talking about yesterday. As we talked to Hamish McKenzie. Insane Mode is his new book, how Elon Musk, Tesla sparked an electric revolution in the age of oil. I want you to listen to what he had to say yesterday.
What is the likelihood that you personally will go to Mars?
70%.
In our lifetimes?
Yeah. I'm talking about moving there. So it's like, if you get the price per ticket maybe around $200,000, you might land successfully. Once you land successfully, there will be you'll be working nonstop to build the base. So not much time for leisure. And once you get there, even after doing all this, it's a very harsh environment, so there's a good chance you die there. We think you can come back, but we're not sure.
That's what makes him so interesting. And to me, Hamish, that's also what makes him able to take on so many other things out there, like big oil and the political world and the crazy establishments that's out there, because you need somebody who's willing to go, I'm gonna risk it to win the biscuit.
Yeah, and it helps if you have a few $1 billion to be able to take on those people as well, because they're going to throw everything at you. And these are unforgiving, unrelenting industries where the competitors are out to not just hurt you, they want to kill you. And so you need someone who's a little bit messed up, a little bit interesting, a little bit crazy to stand up and say, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and One of the things, you say insane mode, and you hear stories about Elon, people come in and he's sleeping underneath the desk and he's doing all kinds of stuff. He just works nonstop. He's trying to build the Hyperloop, which is, if we're going to build, and you're in San Francisco, if we're going to build a train from Northern California to Southern California, let's do a Hyperloop. This big pretend choo-choo train they're trying to build is a joke. But it is interesting because there is a bit of insanity inside a lot of these geniuses like him.
Yeah, I think you might call it insanity. I think it's a useful sort of colloquial shorthand for it. But it's certainly not a conventional mindset. And there's a whole lot of things that went on in his childhood and a whole lot of things that sort of shaped his personality as he started his early companies. And then all the battles he's had to face at Tesla and SpaceX, it's really created this fascinating character who's impervious to doubters and just thinks that he can get it done and is determined to do whatever it takes to get it done.
And you talk about this stuff because, Tesla gets a big, rap because of all of the tax breaks and a lot of other stuff and the subsidies that they get, big oil gets, and they get hammered for it. Tesla a lot of people turn a blind eye to that, but he's had to throw a lot of his own personal wealth into this because, like any good startup, at times you're going to teeter, and especially, this isn't like we're building an app. You're building cars and they're having trouble rolling stuff off the line and he gets behind. He's had to take a lot of this stuff and really play a hands-on kind of CEO founder position more than a lot of other people.
Yeah, he's personally bailed out the company in the financial crisis. I think he put $20 million of his own money, and they got $20 million from somewhere else just to make sure that the lights wouldn't go off at Christmas time in 2008. So he's really put a lot of his own blood, sweat, and money on the line. In that sense, he's kind of like what some investors in Silicon Valley refer to as a wartime CEO. He's constantly paranoid that the next thing coming is going to destroy the company. And so he has to be on guard and ready to fight back against that. And I think that has been key to making Tesla not die, because any other CEO probably would have given up multiple times by now.
Yeah. And like I said, I find a lot of what he does interesting. And I'm sure that when I look at CEOs and my thing is I always look at people who I think are great leaders and CEOs. And what they love to do, Hamish, is they love to surround themselves with people who are also brilliant. They're not afraid of talent. In fact, they love the fact that other people around them are great. Do you find that to be that way with somebody like Elon?
I think that's something that he prides himself on. He sets this grand, impossible mission, and he says these ridiculous things to the media and just goes out there being Elon Musk. And people are attracted to that. They're like, I want to work with that guy. That guy seems like an historically interesting figure who's actually doing stuff that is going to have an effect. And so they know that they're going to get a whole lot of bad stuff that comes with it and be working these crazy hours on these impossible projects. But that's what gives them a sense of meaning in their life. And I think the best of the best want to go and work on problems like that with guys like that.
Yeah. And I love that. And I look at like somebody like Thomas Edison, and you'll hear stories of people who traveled for days and weeks to meet him. And they're like willing to do anything just to work around a guy like that. And he saw talent. And I feel like Elon's one of those guys you can look at somebody and go, you're not classically educated, but something in you says that you can do something that I might need one day. So I want to bring you on board. And that to me, I think is great.
Yeah, I think that's the secret sauce that makes his companies be able to achieve what they're able to achieve. I think Thomas Edison's an interesting comparison as well. Like Thomas Edison electrocuted an elephant in the street to make a point about AC electricity. And, you can imagine what Thomas Edison would look like in today's environment where everything is scrutinized and commented on Twitter and Facebook. I think it would look pretty much the same as what we're seeing with Elon Musk.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you coming on today. Hamish McKenzie's name. Now, you've got something new. You've got Substack, and this is pretty interesting. Paid newsletters made simple. You go there, you check the thing out. You can subscribe to people who are big-time columnists, and some of them who are, I'm sure, up and coming. But I saw somebody on here that just launched yesterday. Do you talk to a lot of these people?
Yeah, I know them. I know pretty much all of them personally. My job at that company, I've co-founded this company with a couple of friends who are great developers. And my side is to deal with all the writers, bring them on board, and help make them successful.
Mara Wilson. You got Mara Wilson launched. And for those of you who don't know, what was she best known for? Was it Miss Doubtfire or something like that?
I think she's best known for taking the lead role in Matilda, the movie with Danny
that's
DeVito.
right. Yeah, that is Judd. She's just, and that's great. And she's writing columns, and this is incredible. Miss Doubtfire, Miracle on 34th, which I was watching last night. I saw this, and I thought to myself, this is great. Now, you're up there, and you're launching stuff. How does it feel? Have you taken stuff from Tesla and Elon Musk and said, okay, I'm launching stuff, I'm doing things, and have you taken some of that and incorporated it into something like this?
Definitely. I've taken the mindset from Tesla that if you think it's possible, then you should work really hard to make it a reality. And if you believe in it, then the sacrifice should be worth it. And also to have a very high bar, have a high goal, try to do something meaningful. And if you fail, then, well, at least you can feel good for having tried.
Absolutely. Absolutely. An incredible book, Insane Mode, how Elon Musk's Tesla sparked an electric revolution to end the age of oil. Hamish McKenzie, appreciate you coming on today. Good luck with this, and I'd like to talk to you more about this in the future. I think this thing that you're doing is really interesting, and I like interesting people, as you know, Hamish.
Well, thanks a lot, man. I'll look forward to that future conversation.
Appreciate that, man. Have a good day. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's funny because, the comparisons between Tesla and Edison and the rivalry and stuff. But, he talked about it. Thomas Edison was you got to go big or go bold, right? And he did at times. And Tesla's problem was I don't think he had the business acumen. And in a day and age, you've got to be able to walk lines that are, you can be both creator, but if you're not part showman, you're going to struggle. And he was more showman than Tesla. At Chad Benson Show. ChadBenson. It is the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
If Black Friday starts the holiday shopping season, Giving Tuesday is meant to start the charitable giving season.
Individuals can donate or they can volunteer. They can just show a neighbor an act of kindness.
Why do we need a day for that?
I think we need 365 days a year for that. But like a wedding anniversary or a birthday, it's a day to celebrate.
Asha Curran at the 92nd Street Y here in New York, which conceived of Giving Tuesday, said the day is meant to pivot from consuming to contributing. $300 million was raised online last year during Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It is. And you can do all kinds of things, right? You can give your time, which I always think is good. But in cash is king. Most of these organizations need cash. That's what keeps them going. They don't want, and you go to soup kitchens, and if they're honest with you, they don't want any of the crap. They don't. It seems great. Bring a can of soup. You're cleaning out your cupboards of crap that you don't want. You're like, oh, God, these poor people love cream of corn. I didn't. They don't want that. Cash is king. They're able to do things with. Beggars can't be choosers. Don't be a Richard.
Maybe it hasn't caught on the way that Black Friday has, but Giving Tuesday seems to be gaining some traction. In 2016, $180 million was donated to a long list of organizations on Giving Tuesday. Last year, it was nearly twice that much.
Yeah. Now, how big will we do? Now, like I say, you can give your time and you can give your money. Just do it wisely. A lot of good organizations out there that are saying, hey, we could use a little bit of your dollar.
Nonprofit organizations are making their appeals to Americans' sense of civic generosity today. Example, Habitat for Humanity, whose public face is that of former President Jimmy Carter.
On Giving Tuesday, let's give Habitat a lift. Visit habitat.org to donate today.
Social media platforms all offer suggestions today on local organizations asking for donations of money or time.
Time is great. Money's good. It's what they want, right? It's a beautiful thing. Throw a few bucks at somebody, and you don't have to give a lot, right? Like you give a few bucks here, you give a few bucks there. It's a win. It's a win. It's that simple. It's absolutely a win for people. And there's a lot of people out there that can use it, especially this time of year. It doesn't matter where you are. There are people out there that aren't in the position that you're in. And so it's a nice thing to do, right? Like we joke around a lot on the show because, well, we don't take ourselves seriously. I'm always, look, being in this business long enough. All right, I'm going to let you behind the curtain here. There's a lot of people that take themselves way too seriously in this business. I'm not one of those people. All right, I'm going to let you know. I'm not one of those people, as you heard earlier, with a few of my wisecracks. But it's it is a good thing to do. So, go out and give yourself a little something today. You see, it's $5. And the beauty of it, and I've always said this, you want to get somewhere far nowadays, you got to make it the most convenient way to do things. How can I text you $5? Because if I've got to go somewhere, sign up for some, give you my email address, do 55 other things, that turns people off, right? What's the easiest thing that I can do? And then I'll do it. That simple. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you, my friend. So if you didn't hear about the autism study, man, this is weird. I mean, 1 in 40? Is that what they're saying?
The study, to be published in the Public Library of Science Medical Journal, finds that short home videos can be used to diagnose autism in children, potentially speeding up diagnosis and leading to earlier treatment. The researchers used machine learning to analyze short home videos, then developed an algorithm to provide an overall diagnostic score for each child. They say home videos can better show children and their behavior in their natural environment, and the new system could streamline the process of diagnosis.
Yeah, 1 in 40 kids now apparently born in America or born somewhere on the spectrum, and they're not quite sure why. I mean, they're looking at all kinds of things of why. Single mothers, they happen to have more, right? Like they're breaking stuff down of why, low income earners happen to have more. Is it something that happens at birth that they don't have something? I don't know. I will say this. One of the big things was when I coached special needs soccer is I've noticed that a lot of the parents were much older. They weren't in their 20s. Or even early 30s. Most of them were in their late 30s to mid 40s, some even in their early 50s. Is that something? I don't know. I'm sure we'll eventually find out what some of the causes are. It's vaccinations. Settle down. But it is crazy. You think that 1 out of 40 children born are born somewhere on the spectrum. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Tweet at us. Casper Mattress. Man, I slept great last night. As you can hear, my energy is through the roof. And I don't hurt. And I love that. And that to me is times, it's this time of year, it's starting to get a little bit cooler, right? My body's creak a little bit more than it used to. That's where Casper comes in. The alignment, the pressure relief, it's absolutely perfect. This is what they do. They ship you this thing in a box. And you're like, what is this thing? It's a mattress. No, it's not. It's a box. It's a tiny box. Then you open it up. You're like, oh my God, there's a mattress in there. Next thing you know, you try it for yourself. 100 nights in your home. If you don't like it, they refund you everything. Come pick the mattress up. 35,000 five-star reviews across all of their products from Casper, Google, and Amazon. Check it out. Get one today. Great gift for you, yourself. It is amazing. Casper.com, code Chad. Saves you $50 toward the purchase of selected mattresses. That's Casper.com, code Chad. Saving you $50. Casper.com, code Chad. Terms and conditions apply. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Love hearing from you guys. I do. People were mad at me yesterday because I made fun of that missionary getting killed. And I'm still getting text messages about that, like what a jerk I am. I'll take that. I'm okay with that. I'll say I'm a jerk, and I'll say he was a jerk too. So, right, we're both jerks. But I'm still alive. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is a different phenomenon. A large caravan crossing with violence across 2 international borders, primarily adult male, not like the prior caravans last spring and the year before. This is a different phenomenon. Again, they use force against Mexican police. They use force to try to enter the country yesterday. This is a different group. Also the size, as you noted. We have not seen caravans come together at this scope and size to have 8,500 people in one Mexican state at the same time, intending to be a cohesive group to approach the border. That's new. That's different.
That right there is Kevin McLean, Commissioner of U.S. Customs Border Patrol, talking about this caravan and why it's different. And so immigration, which is, it's not getting dealt with because, as we talked about, and we've been talking about it, neither side thinks anything's really broken, but everybody else does. right? Everybody else finds there to be a problem with what's going on because our laws are ignored not only by people who break them, but by the people who are supposed to enforce them. That's not a win for anybody. It's not. I think most Americans are welcoming. I, for one, am. I think legal immigration should be easier for people to come here. I think we should have an opportunity for people not only to come here legally to immigrate into this country and migrate here, but I also think it'd be easier for us to have opportunities for these countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and that other neighboring country, Canada, for them to have opportunities to come here and work as, not even residents, just literally seasonal workers at time, and to be able to go back to their country of origin. I think we should make it absolutely easier. 110%. But neither side thinks anything's broken. And I think most people just want to feel like they're trying, just do something. Feel like you, just make us feel like you're trying to actually come up with some sort of semi-half-ass trade-off that points to a solution that isn't perfect, but it's better than what we have now. Because what we have now is nothing really. We have again, people who break the law coming to our country illegally, and then people who are supposed to be upholding those laws who turn a blind eye. And I'm not talking about the Border Patrol agents. I'm talking about the politicians.
In terms of the structure, I mean, the incoming Congress is really going to have to grapple with the fact that the legal framework that we maintain is inviting and incentivizing this kind of challenge, this kind of behavior. Alongside these 8,500 people we have in Baja California, over the last 5.5 weeks since this group formed, we've seen over 60,000 people either cross our border illegally, 85% of them, or arrive at our ports of entry and claim asylum lawfully.
Yeah. Now, those are real numbers. And it's not just the border. You know, he says, it's just because they're people of color, brown people, and they scare all the white people. It's not that. It's not. It's not that. Our ports are broken. Our visa program is absolutely in shambles. It is a debacle. That doesn't get talked about as much because there's no political part of saying, people overstayed their visas. Like, that doesn't sound like they had a visa to get here and they just decided, I don't want to go home. There's no face that. There's no political movement in that. Same thing with the ports, because a lot of it comes through the ports. People that come here from parts of Asia, and there's no political power behind them. There's no la raza for people who are escaping wherever they're escaping. Southeast Asia, wherever. And so there is no political power behind them because they're not big enough to have the Democrats or the Republicans really care. It's the other side of the border, the south side, where they're coming. That's the problem that we see, because politically it helps both sides. We got to figure this out. We absolutely have to figure this out. And then you get what we saw the other day, which is women and children that are in this caravan, not to the extent that the Democrats and the media, the establishment media, wanted to point out, because it was, again, originally like 6 weeks ago when this was, Trump's just making this an issue for the election, and it's just basically 400, moms and a bunch of kids in diapers, and that's all it is. Well, it's not all it is. It's not. And then you've got some of them who, through no fault of their own, as far as what's going on the other side of the border, they're being thrust into stuff because people are trying to use them as a diversion.
We did see women and children being pushed to the front or included in the front of an assaultive group.
Not just because they wanted them to get through first? Women and children first?
No, that's not my understanding of what he saw. He saw people throwing rocks right next to women and children. They did that actually behind members of the media as well. I've seen video of a scene where rock throwers are hiding behind camera people taking photographs of them while they're throwing the rocks. So it was a really dynamic, challenging situation that our agents tried to resolve as safely as possible, and were really successful overall.
Now, there he is speaking, right? Kevin McKeelian, or whatever his name is. I probably screwed it up, but it is what it is. And you're Cuomo, right? That's Cuomo. Cuomo going, not because they wanted them to go first. Do you see how he bends over backwards? Well, maybe they're just being nice. They wanted him to go first. You go through. You go first. Hey, there's a monster in the room. Nah, you go first. Women and children first. You tell us how that goes. No, that's not what it was. That's not what happened. But I love how they bend over backwards. And there's an article today that it's by a woman named Yalda T. Ools. She's a former executive of Sony and MGM, and she's an adjunct professor at UCLA, talking about the fact, and we talked a bit about it yesterday, if you saw the picture of the woman with her kid in her hand, and, you know, she's got a diaper on, and then she's got her other kid in her other hand, and she's kind of running, and the first thing I thought of is, oh, she's wearing a Frozen shirt. And it's all the cruel irony of a migrant mom in a Frozen T-shirt. She goes to talk about, the message of that film is freedom, empowerment, and family. Okay. That's great. I saw the movie and, right, let it go. Let it go. But you know what? It wasn't about freedom, empowerment, family, and, oh, by the way, break the law. Right? And a lot of these people, it's always about the ends justify the means. It's the ends justifying the means. It's the ends justifying the means. So it's because of that we should feel like, oh, well, that's the heart tugging of the string. There's your heart and you got the string on it and we're going to tug on it. It's a horrible situation. Nobody denies that. But in saying that, don't try to draw this as some sort of Disney movie, right? And how this has got into the zeitgeist of America and how this is, if you look at this situation and all she wants is freedom and, well, I know a lot of people that want stuff like, I want $1 million. Does it mean I should be able to take it? Well, Chad, now you're being ridiculous. Why? This is the frustration people have with all of this stuff. And I look right at the politicians, both here and abroad, who have failed these people and who've failed us. I don't judge any of these people coming over here because I understand why they're doing it. I think we all get that. My biggest issue is you're breaking the law, and as your law breaking starts to happen, our government and leaders allow you to do it because they're useless and because politically it benefits them. There's my frustration. I think we should make it easier. I absolutely should. We should talk about how we make this thing easier. We should put out stuff that's real, that's common sense, that gets something done. It's not going to be perfect. But when you have leaders that refuse to take any of this stuff on in a real way, you get what you get the other day. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Paul Manafort is in trouble. I'll be honest with you. I don't care. I don't. He met with Julian Assange. Don't care. Right? Okay, so he met with Julian Assange 3 times. 2013, 15, and 16. He lied to Mueller. Don't care. I don't care. I don't think anybody really cares. The Russia thing, they're over it. Just give us the report, whatever you guys can give us, so we can move on with our lives. We're over it. You guys go fight you guys go to Congress and you guys fight it out over there. The House can take up all the investigation it wants. Doesn't really matter because if you try to impeach, it's going to go down to the Senate, and the Senate's going to go, and we're going to move on with lives. Don't waste our time. And that's what this is going to be about. It's such a myopic view. Nobody cares. Nobody really does, except for the people sitting around watching Fox and MSNBC and CNN all day. Those people care. Like the people that stew in this kind of stuff. But the reality is, Manafort, dude, your biggest issue isn't that you lied to the FBI when you're already in trouble and you went up against your plea deal and it's now they're going to get rid of some of it. You're never getting out of jail anyways in a timely fashion because you embezzled money. You laundered money. You did all kinds of things. You laundered money from point A to point B. You didn't tell the government. Those are your issues. What do I care about that? I don't care about some scumbag who used his power and persuasion to get money out of the Ukrainians and the Russians and anybody else and give him a dime. I don't give a rat's ass. I don't care he's going to jail. Just give us a report and let's move on with our lives. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You should care about what you look like. And fellas, I'm here to tell you something. And ladies, this is a good thing for you to get your fellas. Oh, Chad, you're just going right there, just all gender normative and cisgendery. How do you even know a lady's got a lady? Maybe she's got a lady. Well, whatever. Bombfell. It's credible. Now, I'm getting fit, losing some weight. I looked at the picture today for me like 4 years ago. Good God, I was huge. I was, right? I look like I should be in the Macy's Day Parade. And now I'm getting svelte. I feel amazing. And the beauty of it is I need new clothes. And that's where Bombfell comes in because I don't like to shop. I don't mind shopping, but I hate clothes shopping because I don't like trying things on in a little itty-bitty room where there's 750 other clothes. And it's just, I don't like any of that. That's where Bombfell comes in. Clothes come directly to you. You go online, you easily go through the setup, then you get your own personal dedicated stylist. My guy's named Michael. Next thing you know, he or she finds out exactly, or Zay or Zed or Zed or whatever, find out exactly what your style is, what your fit is like, and boom. Next thing you know, there's a box and there's a bunch of clothes in there. You pay for what you keep. You don't like, you ship it back, it's free. You buy multiples, you save 20%. Now is the time. It's Christmas time. Why not look good? Why not get somebody a little something, something? Here's what they're doing for you right now. $25 off your first purchase. Go to bombfell.com, but you got to use my code. It's bombfell.com/Benson. 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 Save you $25. They are the best brands. You're going to love it. You're going to feel amazing. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
With the exception of the holidays, we tend to drive less during the late fall and winter, and experts say that may be one factor driving down gas prices. The Energy Department says they dropped 7 cents a gallon to an average of $2.54. Highest prices on the West Coast, lowest along the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I travel between California and Arizona, the disparity in gas, and a lot of that's because, Californians, we like a tax. In Arizona, we don't like a tax. So it's nuts. I'll pay like $2.60, $2.70 in Arizona, and then you go to California, and some places you're paying like $3.60, almost $1 more. It's nuts. It is. But a lot of people, because I used to trade the energy, why is oil falling? And gas prices are. Well, gas prices are starting to fall, but it's not about so much the oil is at times that we overlook that. I mean, people, they overlook the thing that a lot of it, what it's about, which is the blends and how they refine it. That's a bigger issue. But gas prices will continue to come down as oil continues to struggle. And oil is going to continue to struggle at least for a little while. And I do want to see what happens with electric cars. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch, GM, yesterday saying, well, we're going to focus mostly on electric cars. We build cars for humans and they don't like it. So we're going to build cars that at least nobody wants to drive, but people may not be embarrassed to sit in. That should be their slogan. GM, we build cars for people who don't want to drive, but you might feel okay to sit in. GM. But I love, we talked a bit about this. This goes back to that climate side of things, right? Electric cars. I mean, we put yesterday something we launched in May has landed on Mars, went through its atmosphere at 13,000 miles plus an hour. It landed precisely where it was supposed to land. And we're still trying to figure out how to get around combustible engines and all of these things. We can do so much better. And I get big oil and all of this kind of stuff. I just want to be able to go, I'm going to fill my car up and I'm going to get a lot of good my gas mileage or both, my hybrid side, whatever it is, because I'm cheap. That's the reality of it. I like clean. That's always good too. It is. But gas prices are going to always continue to fluctuate because you also have humans in there, and humans will have the opportunity to manipulate prices, and countries will have the opportunity to produce more or less of the things it costs for that fuel. That's the way it works. That is always the way it works. Speaking of Mars.
And in my direction, the Pentagon is now working to create the sixth branch of the American Armed Forces. It's called the Space Force.
Space Force.
And today, we just landed on Mars.
Yeah. They landed on Mars. Very cool. Let the science begin. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there, but I'm excited about Space Force. And we kind of already have some Space Force-like stuff that's already been out there. You don't think they monitor what's going on? Of course they do. Trump knows that better than anybody because he knows the aliens are real and they can come back at any time. What will they do? I don't know. Probably eat us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The future unknown for thousands of GM employees.
Is it another way they can do it besides closing all these plants?
It's going to hurt everybody working. But economist David Sowerby is a little more optimistic.
We will have a bruise, but we won't break a leg.
He says unemployment in Michigan is below 4%, and the state's tax climate is greatly improved from a decade ago.
We're in a much better position to deal with this type of adversity than any time in the last 30 years.
He says it should be easier for laid-off GM employees to find jobs in this economy.
Yeah, it should be. And that's if you are qualified for stuff. Right? If you've just been on an assembly line and you screw something and you're getting out in the world because you thought this was going to be the place you're going to retire, that may be an issue. But here's the thing. The difference between you and I or somebody else being laid off or whatever happens and working at a place like GM, none of these people are going to go away empty-handed. Right? They're not getting like the last 2 weeks of pay and then that's it. Good luck to you. They're going to get a severance package. GM's already offered some of them a nice buyout to leave. And on top of that, many of them are getting the opportunity. Some of them are going to get an opportunity to relocate if they want to. And that relocation's a big thing. And or they're going to get money also to be retrained on something. In this day and age, people are looking for great employees. They are. They're looking for good employees. They're looking hard. Like, where can we get a good employee? That's vitally important. In business today is not just your product, but those people who are working on your product, developing your product, and for many of them, selling your product. The people you see first. That's as important as your idea in a lot of ways. But somebody tweeted at me, well, some of these people may not want to leave. Well, that's on you. Right? If you don't want to leave, and you're in a dying town, and they're offering you everything, and you don't take it, that's on you. That right there, I have less respect for you than I do for the people who've walked 3,000 miles trying in any way, shape, or form to get into our country. Well, Chad, that's pretty harsh. No, that's the reality. Right there. I'll lay that right there. That is it. And it's not just that, people say, well, it's Trump's tariffs. Trump's tariffs probably aren't helping, but there's a lot of things that are gone wrong. Their widget sucks, right? Nobody wants to buy these cars. And that's a problem right there.
More than 14,000 people expected to be laid off, as well as
5 plants to close in North America. The company blaming slow sales on traditional cars and announcing that it will no longer produce several models of those cars. GM saying they will instead focus on automation as well as SUVs, which are selling well.
Yeah, there you go. People either want some small cars or want a big car. They don't want that mid-level thing. They're going to do that. So does it look bad for Trump? Of course, right? They're going to spin it any way they want to spin it. But the reality of a situation like this is there was a lot more to it than just that. But if you're going to be laid off, if any time in the last umpteen years you were going to lose your job, and I talked to a couple former GM people that took buyouts several years ago and said, oh, it's, like if you're smart, you play this thing right, you get in an early buyout, they give you a fat severance, and you go somewhere else, and it's like you hit a mini lottery. But a lot of people won't understand that. They won't see that. And that's the problem. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Speaking of the border, lots being made of what took place, the tear gas, and this is Geraldo Rivera getting a little emotional.
I am ashamed. This tear gas choked me. We treat these people, these economic refugees, as if they're zombies from The Walking Dead. I think we arrested 42 people. 8 of them were women with children. We have to deal with this problem humanely and with compassion. These are not invaders. Stop using these military analogies. This is absolutely painful to watch. We are a nation of immigrants.
Breathe, breathe, breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Get mad all around. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I think the way that they handled it with the tear gas wasn't a good look. I also think the way that the immigrants rushed the border like that wasn't a good look either. Wasn't. Throwing things, right, across the border, doing some of the things that not everybody did. There were several that did it. It wasn't like it was 8,000 people that picked up rocks. No. There was a lot of people meandering around and saying, but it just wasn't a good look all around. It wasn't. And the economic refugee, this goes to my thing with the economic refugee. When you're going to say that, then we start having to ask ourselves, all right, so if it is economic refugees that we're going to allow people to be, right, and people who lack in something, then are we only, how do we say, well, why don't we do something with the people in Yemen? There's 13 million people starving in Yemen. And a real, like I hear these people are in poverty. They're in poverty, but it doesn't mean they're starving. The people in Yemen are in poverty and they're starving. They're dying of malnutrition every single day because of a crazy defuncto half-ass civil war / regular war / this war, that war, all kinds of things. Do we bring 13 million people? What do we do? When do we say, well, I can have empathy, but can we do something else? Right? Because as a citizen, as a taxpayer, as a person who has got a grandfather who did it the right way, who came here from Mexico, who spent thousands upon thousands of dollars and did it the right way. Granted, in the days that he came, it was a little bit easier, except for the fact that his process still took years. Was married to an American woman, had several businesses, owned several homes, still does. It took him a long time still to become a citizen by doing it the right way. So I get the outrage in some ways over the tear gas. I get that. I can see how some people would be upset because people got caught up in it. But what happens was you're standing out there, you bring your kids, and you put them in a situation where it's probably not safe just traveling here. And then you see the finish line, but you can't get across the finish line. And then a bunch of knuckleheads doing dumb things. Next thing you know, tear gas is flying. The knuckleheads are doing things. It's awful. It's ugly. But doesn't answer the question of what do we do? Because we just can't say because you're hungry and you want a job that you get asylum. That's not the way it works, especially when 2-3 years ago we decided, hey, no more wet foot, dry foot from a communist nation. There's been a thorn in our side for years that tortures and kills dissidents and political prisoners. But we're going to open up we're going to open up our hearts a little bit. And we're going to try to have a relationship. And the entire time we're saying, yeah, we should have a relationship. We're not like what we used to be. And the entire time they're like, yeah, that's fine, but we're going to have our rules, and they poke us in the eye. So that's a fair question to ask.
These are desperate people. They walk 2,000 miles. Why? Because they want to rape your daughter or steal your lunch? No, because they want a job. They want to fill the millions of unfilled jobs we have in the agricultural sector. They want to wash dishes in the restaurants. They want to deliver the pizzas. For goodness sake, we suspend our humanity when it comes to this issue, and I fear that it is because they look different.
And that's his fears, because they're brown. Let's just say it. That's what it is. It's the brown. They look different because they look different. No, it's not that. It's just the right way and a wrong way to do things. And I am all for making things simpler and easier to both come here as a permanent resident as well as seasonal and contract work over a period of time. I am totally all about that. Let's do that because we got a lot of jobs to fill in this country. We do. And I got no problem with that. But if they're going to ignore our laws and our lawmakers are going to ignore the laws, then why do we even have laws when it comes to this stuff? And I think that's a fair question to ask. We can debate stopping it, right, all day long. Should we or shouldn't we allow asylum seekers to do these kind of things? You know, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. You can debate that all day, but the reality is they're coming here, and some of them, I genuinely believe, are seeking asylum for real reasons. And a lot of them are just coming here because economically, this is where they want to be. They've been offered asylum in Mexico. They've been offered jobs in Mexico. This is where they want to come. And that right there is why a lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute here. This isn't what this is about. But this is politics. This right here is politics across the board. This is it. This is what it looks like. And the guy that is now the sheriff has been steadfast in the way that he said, you know what? Not doing it anymore. Going to build a wall, going to stop people from coming here. And I think if you don't stop this caravan from getting through, it will triple the amount of people, for a lack of a Taco Bell phrase, running for the border. For lack of my own phrase, we'll use Taco Bell's, running for the border. I think it's going to happen. I think it is. I think people are watching. People are getting frustrated. Some are saying, hey, Mexico, send us home. But if they get through, what's to stop 10, 15,000? Because there's already more arriving today, and there's another one that's getting ready to take off. That's a fair question right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, you could tweet at us. Giving Tuesday, you need to go out and give today. Don't care what you do or how you give, right? Even if it's $5. Give. It's a good thing. It's always a good thing to give. It is. Does it make? I always think giving kind of makes it's kind of selfish, but in a very good way. If you could be it's like, oh, that person's selfish, but in a good way, because it makes you feel good, right? Doesn't it make you feel good? And at the same time, it's selfish because it makes you feel good, and you're kind of doing it for that reason. Who cares why you give as long as you do? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Glint. So for all those of you who bought gold because you thought the world was coming to an end, right? Like, I don't know how many of those people out there, the world was coming to an end. And they all went out and bought gold. And I used to laugh at that. I'm like, why are you buying so much gold? Oh, the world's going to come to an end because Obama or because whatever. And here it comes. And I'm like, whatever. Now you got gold and you've seen it go up and you've seen it go down. But one thing you can't do with it unless you go and you sell it off is you can't spend off of it. Well, wait a minute here. You can now with Glint. GlintPay.com. You're going to want to remember that. GLINTPAY. GlintPay.com. These guys, Jason and Ben, put together this amazing company. They're revolutionizing the way that people can actually spend gold immediately. At the electronic point of sale, you get a debit card and you can spend off your gold. That is amazing. It is incredible, right? Gold's the most reliable form of money, independent and incorruptible. Its value is recognized everywhere. Stored in vaults all over the world. It's just an amazing way to spend the gold that you have sitting there, but you don't know what to do with it, but you don't want to get rid of it. So why not try this? You can get your own MasterCard, like debit card, right? It comes to you. You can spend it anywhere. It comes right off the gold. That's how easy it is. Simple and easy. Check it out for yourself. GlintPay.com right now. Gold's the most reliable store of value. Glint's the only way to spend it. Go to GlintPay.com, GlintPay.com, GlintPay.com. At Chad Benson Show, ChadBenson. That's the Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. You can also text the program directly, which is 323-538-2423. I try to get back to as many people as possible. I get a lot of people that text me. I try to get back to them. It's me that does it, not anybody else. I have a team of people doing it. I do it myself because I think it's the right thing to do. So you can text us 323-538-2423. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
They used a controversial gene editing technology to manipulate the DNA of a set of twins in order to give them the ability to resist HIV infection. ABC News has learned that an American bioengineering professor was also allegedly involved with the controversial experiment. Rice University, where Dr. Michael Deem works, tells ABC News it's investigating, saying that if Deem participated, it would have violated scientific conduct guidelines and is inconsistent with ethical norms.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you got these people playing around with modifying genes, and we've been moving there. Science will always push the boundaries because you want to see what can happen, right? That's just human curiosity is going to push us to want to try and push some boundaries. And we all say, and this is what we do. First, we act outraged, right? We go and we act totally outraged over something like this.
This is as irresponsible a study as could be done. It's not clear who approved it. Did it get approved by a research ethics committee at his institution? Did the government of China sign off on this? Who said it was okay to start changing genes in our children?
So we act like that guy, right? So like, this is awful. This is horrible. This is just disgusting and vile, and it's not going to work.
Before anybody buys plane tickets, I don't think this technique is shown to work. I don't think it's safe enough to try and make better babies or super babies. The thing to do is to try and cure lethal diseases that are hereditary before you get into enhancements. But this experiment was kind of like 3 jumps ahead of where things should be.
Now, with all of that being said, you know what ends up happening is whatever they learn from this, they'll take. And if it's good, nobody will freak out or scream about it later. That's the reality of what happens. It's somebody has to have the cojones enough to try something, and then when they do it, everybody's like, oh my God, that's just, it's so unethical, it's wrong, and you're playing God, you're doing all these kind of things. But, well, give me some of the research anyway. I'll take some of this data. Yeah, I know. You've already done it. So at this point in time, I feel we could do it as well. And this is the world we live in. We're heading there. It's not going to change. I say this all the time. Elon Musk has said this, and he said this yesterday. And this is where we totally, I think, are jiving on the same thing, right? Like we're simpatico here.
Electrode to neuron interface at a micro level.
Okay, what is it? Like I'm gonna have like a plug in my head that's gonna fit into a hard drive? Like, or how does that work?
Yeah.
This would be implanted surgically? Basically an effort for man to merge with machine in a healthy way.
Yes.
To beat machines, you basically have to merge with machines.
Most likely, yes. Essentially, how do we ensure that the future constitutes the sum of the will of humanity? And so if we have billions of people with a high bandwidth link to the AI extension of themselves, it would actually make everyone hyper smart.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That's in a weird way editing, right? Because we're editing together machine and man. Somebody's going to end up doing it first, and everybody's going to scream and yell about and decry about how horrible and awful it is, and then eventually it's going to become a norm, and we'll take what we learn from it. That's the reality of the way the world works. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Your useless fact of the day. Rubik's Cube was invented by Erno Rubik. It took him 1 month to solve the cube after he created it. As of June 2018, the world record is 4.22 seconds. Little factoid for you. Have a good rest of your Taco Tuesday. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.